History is often told as the story of vast, unstoppable forces, the clash of empires, the scarcity of resources, the rise and fall of economic cycles. We are taught that these tectonic plates move beneath us, indifferent to the individual standing on jumps up and down on them. Sometimes, the suffering of millions is not the result of a faceless system, but the direct consequence of a few individuals making specific, often avoidable, choices. Today, we examine the chilling intersection of agency and consequence. We look at how the hubris, fear, or ideology of a handful of men have, time and again, steered the world into hardship. To understand how a single person can trigger global hardship, we must travel to Sarajevo, June 28, 1914. The assassin, Gavrilo Princip, was a cog in a nationalist machine. But his bullet didn't just kill Archduke Franz Ferdinand, it killed the delicate peace of Europe. Yet, it wasn't the act itself that caused the hardship, it was the reaction of a handful of men in the weeks that followed. Here we see the blank check. Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany, emboldened by a sense of military superiority and a desire to break free from diplomatic encirclement, assured Austria-Hungary of his unconditional support. Across the border, Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, bound by Slavic pride and fear of losing face, ordered a full mobilization. These were not abstract forces, these were two cousins, men, signing orders. Their inability to de-escalate, their reliance on rigid military timetables, and their personal pride turned a localized Balkans crisis into the First World War. The result? 20 million dead. Empires erased. And a map of the Middle East drawn by diplomat Sykes and Picot, two more individuals in a room with a pen, that sows discord to this day. If war is the continuation of politics by other means, then economic collapse is often the result of monetary policy made by a very small, very confident group of people. In the late 1920s, the global economy was a house of cards, held together by the gold standard. Meeting in secret on Long Island Sound, two men held the fate of that house in their hands, Benjamin Strong of the New York Fed, and Montague Norman of the Bank of England. Obsessed with fighting inflation and maintaining the gold standard, they pushed for tight money policies and high interest rates. While they weren't the sole cause of the Great Depression, their actions are viewed by economists like Milton Friedman as a catastrophic misdiagnosis. They choked the economy just as it needed liquidity. But perhaps the most chilling example of a single mind causing economic hardship is that of Heinrich Himmler. While we often view the Holocaust as the product of Nazi ideology, it was also an economic policy decision made by one man, Himmler, in 1941. He forbade the emigration of Jews, pivoting from expulsion to extermination. This wasn't just genocide, it was the destruction of entire economic classes, the removal of skilled labor from occupied territories, and the redirection of trains and resources needed for the war effort. The hardship he caused was absolute, and it was a logistical decision made in a single office. Sometimes, hardship isn't caused by malice, but by the arrogance of the best and the brightest. In the 1960s, US Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara applied the tools of corporate statistics, metrics and body counts. McNamara and his WizKids believed they could micromanage a war from Washington. They ignored the history, the culture, and the humanity of Vietnam. They saw a military problem, not a nationalist movement. Their quantitative analysis told them they were winning even as the country burned. Over 58,000 Americans and an estimated 2 million Vietnamese died because a small group of men trusted their spreadsheets more than reality. In the modern era, the speed of consequence has accelerated. In 1990, Saddam Hussein, a single dictator with a grudge about oil pricing and debt, miscalculated US resolve and invaded Kuwait. The result was the Gulf War, a conflict that led to the permanent garrisoning of American troops in Saudi Arabia, a fact that radicalized a man named Osama bin Laden. Which brings us to 2003. After the 9/11 attacks, a small group of neoconservatives within the Bush administration, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, Paul Wolfowitz, pushed for the invasion of Iraq. They operated on faulty intelligence and ideological certainty. They believed democracy could be imposed at the bearer of a gun. The removal of Saddam Hussein, a stabilizing if brutal force, unleashed a sectarian civil war. It created a power vacuum that gave birth to ISIS and destabilized the entire region, leading to a refugee crisis that would reshape European politics for a generation. The decision to go to war in Iraq was made by perhaps a dozen people. The consequences have been paid by millions. We tell these stories not to fall into the great man theory of history, the idea that history is just the biography of great men. Most hardship is systemic, born of poverty, inequality, and climate. But we must also resist the opposite trap, pretending that individuals are powerless, that they are just cogs in the machine. The truth is, at certain pivotal moments, the system becomes a megaphone. The fears, the ego, or the ideology of one person can be amplified to affect millions. By studying when and how that happens, we learn to spot the warning signs. We learn that the next hardship might not be caused by an unstoppable force. It might be caused by a single bad decision, made in a quiet room, by someone who forgot that their choices have weight.